Hi, I am Cheryl Gifford, people and culture consultant, coach, and facilitator, coming to you pre recorded from my kitchen yet again. This won't always be in my kitchen, but it's winter and it's dark in the morning, so this is where the lighting works. This is episode 2 of the Wholehearted Hub with Cheryl, and we are today going to talk about fear of judgment, criticism, and rejection ruining your success and happiness. I don't know who said it first, but I know it wasn't me. The saying of, they're going to judge you anyway, so you may as well do what you want and have some fun. It might have been Taylor Swift. I'm not really sure. Probably. She's a genius. So the fear of rejection, criticism, and judgment is not silly. I think we judge ourselves for having these fears, but it's not silly. There are neurological and biological reasons why this is true for us. Again, disclaimer, I am not a psychologist. I speak from the heart about things that I have learned and experienced myself from working with my coaching clients, organizational clients, and just the people in my life. And the getting to the heart of our fear of rejection, like once you create more awareness around it, you can do something about it. In episode 1, we talked about actionable steps to identify what your fears are. So let's pretend that one of the fears that came up is around rejection. The truth is, almost all humans, unless maybe you're a psychopath, have fears around rejection. And it's rooted in biology. Rejection constitutes some of the most distressing and consequential events in people's lives. And the reason behind that is because if you think about like the thousands of years of evolution of human beings, we come from like living in villages, tribes, the saying it takes a village, like we protected each other. And so if you were rejected by your tribe, or later in life, if we think about modern times like now, if you're rejected by those that are intended to care for you, to nurture you, like parents or siblings or the people, it actually is a threat of death. Like you might not survive, or at least that's what our brains and nervous systems believe to be true. That is why rejection feels like such a threat to us, to our being, because it's a threat to our belonging, to our connectedness, which are, don't we all know that we're wired for connection? Like this is what I believe that we're here for. We're here for connection, for love, but that might not suit everyone's fancy. Or maybe you're just early in your journey and you're not ready for that yet. So that's fine. So we're going to start with talking about the fear of rejection and like what do you do about that? Going in and exploring what it is that is the source of feeling rejected. What is it that happened? Oftentimes it'll be something that came from outside of us. It's like we didn't get that external validation that we were seeking. We didn't find something that made us feel safe and whole and accepted and belonging from outside. And so in coaching, we always want you to, always is a absolute statement, so I take that back. We want you to look at what is true and what is now and going forward and see yourself as creative, resourceful, and whole. Like you have everything that you need within you. So that connectedness, that belonging, of course, we do need community, we do need other people, but finding it within yourself first. That doesn't mean that you have to find it within yourself first to be able to find it outside. I actually believe that in order to rewire our neural pathways, you need to change your beliefs, but you also need to collect evidence that will support those beliefs being able to change. What do I mean by that? A lot of people will say, like, you have to love yourself before you can love somebody else. I don't necessarily agree, because if you have been wired and the neural pathways in your brain run so deep to say that you aren't lovable or you aren't worthy, and this is the source of rejection, then you can't just change that belief. You can't be like, oh, today I choose to believe that I'm worthy and just erase all of everything that's gotten me to here. Wouldn't that be glorious? But the reality is that in order to rewire those, you have to create those new pathways. And so, in order to prove to yourself, your brain, your nervous system, that it's safe to move through this new neural pathway, you also have to collect evidence that it's true. And so, doing those two things simultaneously, practicing that new belief, maybe it's affirmations. What works for you? Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's affirmations in the mirror. What are the practices that will work for you that go to the source of belonging, which is the opposite of rejection, that connectedness, which is the opposite of the rejection. And then working on that as a daily practice and seeking the validation and the evidence from outside to reinforce it for yourself. So doing both things, not just once, multiple times, and continuing that practice for yourself. So coming back to the topic, so we're talking about the fear of criticism, judgment, and rejection. So we started by talking about rejection, why that is like such a visceral fear for so many people, because it could actually be in our body a threat of death. Judgment and criticism can feel like a form of rejection, and therefore pose a threat and invoke that need for protection for us. And so I ask yourself, when something like that comes up for you. So maybe it is, this is unscripted, so I haven't thought of an example. Perhaps it's like feeling like you don't, your outfit isn't great. This is very superficial, but, or someone doesn't like something that you just said. And they're critical of it, or a project that you did at work, or a gift that you gave because it was just the holidays. Going, if we go back to episode 1, talking to yourself, could be outside, could be inside. Ask yourself the question, is it true? I believe that Susie didn't like the My Little Pony that I gave her. Is it true? Maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is no. Truth is an unchangeable part of who we are. So seeking the truth and then going from there. What is true? And then you can know where you're going to go with it. So maybe it's true that Susie didn't like the My Little Pony. That doesn't mean anything about you. What is actually true about you in that exchange? You bought a My Little Pony. The intention was positive. It didn't land the way you wanted it to. So be it. It doesn't mean anything about you. What is true? So the prompt or the inquiry that I will leave you with today is, what is possible for you if you observe these criticisms, judgments, or perceived rejections, or maybe actual rejections? Observe them and then release them. Make them not mean something about you. What could be possible for you? Explore it. It's an experiment. Thank you for being here with me. This was episode 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe and come back for episode 3.